What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Next to me here, I have a 2024 Tesla Cybertruck Cyberbeast edition, and we're gonna talk about everything in this video. So if you haven't seen my video where we took delivery of this Cybertruck, this is actually my dad's. He's had it on pre-order since 2019, and we finally got it here towards the very end of June of 2024. So almost 5 years worth of waiting for this thing, and it's finally here. We'll cover everything that this Cyberbeast has on it feature-wise, then we'll hop in and take it for a test drive, and I'll talk about some of my thoughts on what it's like to live with this thing day in and day out. But let's get started up front. So obviously, the design is extremely polarizing, right? That's no secret, no surprise. And, you know, I just tried to clean this thing and I did my best. And I think it looks actually pretty good. For the most part, it cleans up pretty well. I was kind of worried about that. But let's talk about the front end here. So very angular. Everything is very angular and very flat. Very flat sloped windshield here with your like 4.5 foot wiper. That is absurd. You've got an LED light bar that runs across the front here. This is kind of your daytime running light. And then your main beams and your high beams are down here, as well as your turn signals. So really discreet, almost hard to see, but they're down here tucked away. And then you have this very angular sheets of pure stainless steel that wrap or are kind of stamped around the front grille here. Then underneath you have a lot of black plastic cladding, some hooks here. You do have a front-facing camera, which if I'm not mistaken is the first Tesla ever with a front-facing camera. That's really helpful and necessary on something like this, and I hope they bring that to future Tesla models, all of them. You do have a power frunk, which again is the only Tesla currently that has a power frunk. So there's a button up under here. You can also use the app. Push that, it makes a big clanking noise, and then it goes ahead and opens up for us. You do have a button in here, you can close it. You have your Cybertruck logo on the plastic here, wiper fluid here, and then a decent sized trunk. I don't know the exact dimensions, I'll have them on screen for you, but you know, you can sit on it. You could put a backpack in here, but it's not huge. And I just noticed that while I was cleaning it, I got a little bit of schmutz on my pants, so that's not great. Thanks, Cybertruck. And again, like I said, this massive front wiper here, it is one piece, so one giant wiper. And I'm gonna look up how much it actually costs to replace this because I'm sure it's not cheap. But if we come around to the side here, you'll notice we've got more kind of aggressive cladding around these wheel arches here. It's all angular, no curves, just boom, boom, nice points here. You've got cameras built into the side panels here. Now, one of the things that always gets talked about when I show people this Cybertruck is just this wheel configuration. You may notice that they are just the kind of stock wheels. They don't have the aero caps on them. They did get recalled and they haven't actually sent them out to us yet, so we don't have those yet. But I'm excited to have those on there because I really like the look of them actually. But they were rubbing on the wheels, so they had to recall them. But you can see kind of the cutout for where they'd go. I think these are 20-inch wheels, and then I think 33.5-inch tires. Absolutely absurd. And again, they sit pretty high with the lowest ride height, but you can raise that up to the highest ride height and take this thing more off-road. I don't think that we'll actually end up doing that, but you know, you can. You'll notice as far as badging goes, there are no Tesla badges anywhere on this thing. The only badges are the Foundation series kind of word etchings on the front panels here. There's some on the back, and then there's the little Cyberbeast logo with the 3 wolf heads. And that's really the only way you'd know you have a Cyberbeast outside of, you know, coming stock with floor mats. Really unique triangular side mirrors here that are power folding, heated. There's blind spot monitoring built into the inside, but these are auto dimming as well, which is great. And then how you actually get into the vehicle is there's a piece of glass right here with this little LED light on it. You just push hard on that. The door will pop open like that. You can grab it and you can open it all the way up. And I did forget to mention with the wheels, it is 4-wheel steering. So all the wheels turn at the same time, which is super unique to see, and it's really cool. And then as far as pricing goes, this Cyberbeast starts at about $96,000. This one specifically stickered for $99,000 MSRP. Then they slap the Foundation series. We can't build it for the cost we thought we'd be able to, and the demand is so high, so we slap an additional $20,000 on this. So right around $121,000 for this Cyberbeast right here. And that's before tax, titles, license, and fees. It's expensive. Alrighty, so moving here to the back of the Cybertruck here, you'll notice, again, very angular, very flat back end, not a lot of intrigue or interesting body lines or accented pieces, and I love it. Very clean, and you just have like simple elements here. So you've got your turn signals and brake lights here. You've got an LED bar that runs across the back here. You've got your little Foundation series badge here. Rear view camera, plastic cladding. You got your towing hitch back here. Some reversing lights there. and basically nothing else, right? Got some really harsh, kind of almost sharp corners right here. And then you've got some little pop-ups here where you can attach different things. Then you've got controls for your tailgate and your tonneau cover back here. So you can push this, drop the tailgate, and then push the up arrow here, open up that tonneau cover. And you can tell how new this thing is. We haven't even taken the, sunshades and carpet mats out of here yet. Got your cloth mats, got your Cybertruck branded sunshade here. Here's the bed. It's nothing crazy, but it is a 6-foot bed by 4 foot wide, so plenty of capacity there. You've got some underbed storage as well. You got a Tesla mobile connector that it came with down there, which is great. You got a little power wall that can be used as inverted power, so you can use this thing to run basically what you'd run off a generator, so anything. Plenty of tie-down points, hooks, and these little adjustable hooks and kind of levels here and things. Again, LED lights that run across the inside for better visibility. And then of course this tonneau cover that can be opened to any distance. And when it is actually open, you can see out of the little back rear view mirror, but when it's closed, you cannot see out of it at all. So they put it on screen for you, which is nice. I really don't think they need the rear view mirror at all. I think I could completely get rid of it. And I've actually seen a lot of people take it out completely. And if this were my car, I probably would, because I don't think you need it. I also wanted to give a huge shout out to YesLac for sending me these all-weather liners for the Cybertruck here. Not only did they send me an all-weather bed liner, but they also sent me an underfloor storage liner. So we're gonna go ahead and get these installed. If you guys wanna pick these up for yourself, I'll have a link in the description, and you can also use my discount code Metz Tech for 20% off. They actually also sent me one for the Frunk, so we can install that as well. And as with all floor mats that you get that are folded up, they are gonna have some kind of ripples in them where you wanna push them down and get them squashed, but they will heat up over time, and that will allow them to kind of soften back down to a natural position that fits exactly in the bed. So just give it some time, they'll soften and they'll flatten out. But just like my floor mats on my Model 3, they have the same kind of woven rubber texture to them, but they're really rugged and they have a little lip around the edges, so everything will stay trapped on the mat and you can easily clean it off. All right, so hopping here into the cabin of the Cybertruck, you can probably tell just by looking at it how massive this cabin is. It's actually insane, but all the proportions are kind of odd. The cabin feels huge. The seats feel huge. This display is huge. The footroom is huge. The vehicle feels huge, but then all like your little peripheral devices are all really tiny. Like this rear view mirror, super tiny. Like I said, outside, basically unnecessary. You could remove this and never miss it. The steering wheel, the little squircle steering wheel, feels really tiny as well. I actually don't mind that. I like smaller steering wheels, so this is totally fine. But my favorite thing about the Cybertruck cabin is just how nice the materials are. You've got Alcantara all over the, headliner and all over the front dash panel here. And then you've got this, white vegan leather that runs across the dash. Over on the door panels, you have a black vegan leather up top with a little bit more at the bottom all around the speaker grill area and the door handles. It all feels very, very premium. Here on the center console, that goodness gracious, I'm sweating all over. Very nice and plush as well. And there's just no plastic in this thing, right? Some vehicles, even at this price point, you're gonna get plastic door panel materials. And you just don't here on the Cybertruck. It's all very nice, very soft touch, plush, super nice. It should be for $121,000, but not always the case. You do have that ambient lighting as well, which I also have on my 2024 Model 3, and I'm sure will trickle down to all other Teslas as they get released. You get a vegan leather steering wheel as well that is heated, turn signals on there, lights, wiper controls, voice commands, camera button, everything that you'd expect on a modern Tesla. If you're very familiar with the Model 3 2024 refresh, it's exactly the same, but you get a little Cybertruck badge instead of the Tesla badge. And again, that continues on. You have no Tesla badges in this thing. It's all Cybertruck branding. It's its own thing. Similarly to other Teslas, you have a push button to open the door panels, and these door panels are heavy. Let me tell you, this solid stainless steel feels like it. You've got speakers all over the place. This is a 15 speaker system and it sounds fantastic. You've got a cabin camera here, these really unique front visors that have a magnet that kind of pops into place there. And then this portion folds down to give you a little more extension. Then you have your little mirror inside that is magnetic with little LED lights in there. and these can be, you know, slid over here like that, but they're Alcantara as well and feel really nice. You've got your hazards up here, and then you actually have your little emergency park, reverse, neutral, and drive up here as well if you don't want to swipe on the screen. Now, the center console area, you get 2 Qi-enabled wireless charging pads, 2 kind of Cybertruck themed cup holders, and that's one thing that continues through this whole cabin. Everything is Cybertruck themed. All the graphics, all the angles, none of it's like perfect circles or really nice, clean, smooth edges. It's all very sharp, square, or, you know, octagons or hexagons. It's all very angular, and it just does a really good job of making the entire vehicle feel well thought out and considered. Armrest here, again, you can lift that up. You get a little tray here. There is a full-size 120-volt outlet and then some USB-C ports down here as well. Nice deep pocket there. And then the glove box is a power glove box that you can tap to open. It will slide out, and then you can tap to close it and it'll slide back. Not a ton of room in there, but that's a cool feature. Now, as far as these seating surfaces, again, these are a vegan leather seating surface with some accent piping, accent stitching, perforations. They're heated and ventilated for front driver and passenger, and heated for rear passengers. They have no adjustable headrest, but you do have this little kind of, again, angular Cybertruck-esque little point right here. They're very comfortable. I haven't had any issues with them in the time I've been driving it. You got a nice deep area down here for additional storage space. And then of course you have your massive 18.5-inch display here. You also have a 9-inch display in the back, which is super nice for backseat passengers, but this 18.5-inch screen is incredible. Again, it's gonna have the smoothest graphics you've ever used on any vehicle. That's a Tesla staple, but just how high res and crisp and fluid it is, you just can't beat it. This does have the most up-to-date software, so we are on V12, so this has, you know, all the modern stuff. It does not have full self-driving or even basic autopilot. I will definitely be making a video when we do get that on this truck, but not so far, but hopefully that's coming at some point soon. But you've got all your controls to change your ride height, close the tonneau, you know, adjust your mirror, steering wheel, go into neutral, open the glove box, turn your headlights around. You've got dynamics, you can go to comfort, standard, beast, and then custom, and then there's an off-road mode as well. You've got auto shift out of park, you've got auto lower for the suspension, you've got an entire trailering menu, which is super nice. I haven't used it, but your whole charging menu here. You can turn on all of your different outlets here. You've got, again, traffic aware cruise control, but no autopilot or FSD yet. You've got all of your lock systems here, all of your lightings. You can adjust your, you know, accent lightings, turn your dome lights on, turn your headlights on, display adjustments, mileage counts, navigation adjustments, you know, safety. All of this is just very standard run-of-the-mill Tesla stuff, but all of it's really cool. Again, you have the Bluetooth and Wi-Fi menus that are new for V12. All of this boxes and stuff down here with the little cards, that's all V12 stuff. So you can actually see on here your PSI for your tires. You can see your ride height and your ground clearance when you're at different ride heights, which is really neat. You got navigation, quick menu there. And then up at the top, you've got your park, reverse, neutral, and drive, which you can, of course, swipe to switch gears. You get the little Cybertruck logo up there. Even the charging status or state up top has a Cybertruck-specific like lines. It's all angular, and everything is very meticulously made for the Cybertruck. And there's no better proof of that than going into the menu here. So if we click this, you'll notice all of the icons are uniquely designed for the Cybertruck UI. So the seat's very angular, the steering wheel design's very angular, the camera, you know, view button is got harsh, you know, hexagonal style design. The dash cam does as well. Everything is boxy or hexagonal to really fit with the theme of the Cybertruck. Of course, you can swipe over, get access to your navigation, swipe it away, nice and easy, pivot all around your vehicle. Everything you'd expect if you've used V12 before of the Tesla software. But that's pretty much everything in this Cybertruck. It's pretty simple. All right, so hopping here into the back seats of the Cybertruck. I think the first thing you'll probably notice is how much lower down you sit than the driver's seat. Like, it towers over you. You cannot see past the driver's seat without kind of peeking around like this. And to be honest, I haven't even ridden in the back seat. I've only driven this thing or ridden in the passenger seat. So it's really cool to be back here. You've got touch capacitive lights here, little hooks that fold down. Again, everything is square or hexagonal. It's hilarious. Even the display down here has kind of an angular wrap around it where the vents actually come through. You've got a 120-volt outlet back here. You've got an LED light at the floorboard. You got Cybertruck branding on your floor mats. There's a little loop here that you can pull, and then the center console piece would fold down, give you 2 more Cybertruck-themed cup holders. and a nice armrest for second row passengers. Plenty of space underneath the seats. I can stretch my legs out nice and long there. You got mat pockets on the back of both seats, and these seats again are the vegan leather with the perforations. They're heated for both outboard passengers. Super nice, so comfortable. You could ride back here for ages. And then of course there's these little loops you can grab and pull, and then you can lift up this seat, snap it into place there, and then you get all of this flat floor storage. All right, so let's take the Cybertruck here for a test drive. Now, again, this isn't my first drive in it. I've been driving it now for like 5 days or so, 4 days maybe. And I've gotten very used to kind of how it rides. And so when I transition back into my car, it feels really low to the ground, which it is, you know, and it's felt low to the ground even before I drove the Cybertruck, because I drive a lot of different cars. You know, I work at a car dealership, so I'm making videos on cars all the time, all different heights and sizes. And my car, it's pretty low to the ground, but I like it. It feels very sporty, very connected, and just a very fun drive. This vehicle still has a lot of those same qualities. It's still a really enjoyable drive. It's ungodly fast. Like, something this large should not be this fast, and it is with that 845 horsepower. I mean, it just punches. Even in standard acceleration, it absolutely punches. But you put this thing in beast mode, and it's throwing people to the back of their seats. It's uncomfortable for some, honestly, but I absolutely love it. I think it's a blast. But it rides so tall. It rides, even on the lowest setting, which is what I'm on right now. I prefer to drive it in the lowest ride height. It still feels huge. You feel like you're driving a massive vehicle, but it still feels really nimble. Quickness helps with that, but also the steer-by-wire system, where you only have to turn the wheel to about here to make the full, you know, turning radius that this thing has. It makes it feel very nimble. Like, all of your movements are very precise, very sharp. Your handling is excellent, and that four-wheel steer is just a really, really unique experience. And it's almost hard to put into words. You really just have to drive one. But being able to drive it, basically daily it for several days now, there's a couple things that I've really learned about this thing. First and foremost, it really, really needs like a 360-degree top-down view around the vehicle, because it is tough to tell where you are in relation to things. Even using the front-facing camera, it's really hard to tell kind of where you are when pulling into a parking spot. It feels huge, it drives huge, it parks huge. So I really find myself trying to find the back of a parking lot to park in so that it's not exactly precise and doesn't need to be. You know, it's just one of those situations where it really needs a couple other little safety things that I think will really help. I think better kind of FSD visualizations will really help. I cannot imagine this thing using FSD. It's kind of terrifying, but also FSD has gotten so good that I think we'll be fine. But even basic autopilot would be a huge, huge benefit for this thing. It definitely needs like a top-down view. I think that would help drastically with just, daily kind of navigation of this thing in tight, garages, parking lots, things like that. That would be really great. You kind of get the hang of it a little bit, but I still find myself kind of glancing over at the visualizations to kind of see where I am in the lane, because it feels so wide. So you kind of have to really pay attention to where you're going. You can't just kind of free ball it like you can on a normal car where you take up very little of the lane and you can kind of drift a little bit. You have to know where you are because you take up most of the lane. So technically speaking, it does fit in my garage, but not in the part where I currently park my Model 3, only in the part where the wall is missing and it goes back even further. So there's this little gap. But I mean, look at the tolerances here. I mean, we're talking like an inch maybe. And then if you wanted to access the basement door here, you just can barely do so. These need to fold in there, but you have to be really careful opening the door here. And then, I mean, look back there. You've got, maybe a foot before that water pipe there. So this would not be super, super practical for me, although I can charge it off my home charger here. But again, basement door, car door. Just this would not work like long term. But if you have a larger garage than me that's like this on both sides and maybe has less stuff, I had to move the moped and all this kind of stuff, then sure. Also, I could probably move it up a little bit. I've got some space here, but yeah, technically speaking, it fits in my garage. But again, it is so incredibly nimble. and it's just a lot of fun to drive. I've had a ton of fun driving this thing around like that. Like, that's a really harsh turn that I just took, and I barely moved the wheel at all. It just feels really kind of relaxed. It's like you're driving a tank with a remote control car steering wheel. But let's go ahead and get a dB reading at city speeds here. We're about 62 dB on average. And really what I think you hear the most, at least in the front seat, you definitely hear some tire noise, but you hear a lot of like motor whine is probably what it actually is. You know, when you're decelerating, you hear a lot of that, you know, regen kind of power down. But then when you're accelerating, you get that like high-pitched kind of whine sound, and that's the only thing that's not my favorite. Is it's a little bit loud inside the cabin, surprisingly. But anyway, just the responsiveness and the feel, even the acceleration in standard mode, which I'll switch it to right now. I usually drive in Beast just because it's so much fun, but even the standard acceleration, I don't know what the 0 to 60 is in this, but we'll go ahead and floor it. It's unbelievably fast. That's probably like 4.1, 0 to 60 if I had to guess. It's probably like the dual motor speed, so around like 600 horsepower being used to punch that, but that's just the standard mode. I don't even drive in that, even though I think it's unbelievably fast. I show people that mode, like I put them in the car and I do standard first, and they're like, oh my gosh, you know, they're grabbing everything, and I'm like, okay, well, just wait. And then I switch it to Beast, and it's so much fun. But it is just unbelievable. Ridiculous amounts of speed for something that's 6,800 pounds. Absolutely absurd. But then we put it into the Beast acceleration, and you just, oh, it's just unbelievable. I mean, it just rips you back. It's really like nothing I've ever felt before speed-wise. It's hard to put into words. You really just have to ride in it, and you'll be like, holy cow. You know, holy shit is what I actually get most of the time. And a lot of stop, 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 stop. A lot of arm grabbing, a lot of shoulder grabbing. A lot of swear words are being said when I launch people in this thing for the first time. Again, the look, pretty polarizing. And listen, I understand it. It's not normal looking, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I'm not the type that thinks that, you know, all vehicles need to look the same and that just uniform vehicle design is good. I don't think that. And I think that the Cybertruck has taken that to the furthest extreme possible that we have ever seen, and I'm totally fine with it. And in fact, I hope they make an entire cyber lineup. Cyber van, cyber car, cyber SUV. I hope they make all of it. Like I said in my delivery video, it does really feel like Tesla kind of segments off the Cybertruck into its own thing. There's no Tesla badges anywhere. It's all just Cybertruck specific branding. And I can see very easily how they could make this into a full line of cyber vehicles. And I think that would be super awesome, having this same kind of style throughout. And as polarizing as the look is, I've really yet to have a super negative reaction in public. I mean, people say like, you know, oh, it's so ugly. And then they're like, well, I mean, it's kind of cool looking. And you're like, yeah, it is. Both those things. There's moments in time where pieces of technology, you know, or even not pieces of technology, pieces of art, pieces of technology come out and you say, this was a defining moment in this field. And this Cybertruck feels like kind of a pivot point or a defining moment in the vehicle space. Now, it's yet to be seen kind of how this plays out long term. Maybe people, you know, get over it and they don't care anymore and the look just sours on them and that it dates really quickly. I don't see that happening. So as silly as it is, I don't really take these moments for granted. Like, this feels like a very special thing to me because, again, it's like nothing we've ever seen before. Everyone comes over, everyone wants to see it, and I am more than happy to show people and give them the full tour, because if it were me and I was in that position, I'd want to get an up close and personal look at it. So I love getting to show people. So I just stopped to get a bite to eat, and I was thinking while I was sitting there, practically speaking, could I ever own a Cybertruck? Like, realistically. And like I said, I've been dailying the Cybertruck to try and get a feel for what it's like to use this thing just in your regular life. You know, not for a promo, not for a video, like, what is it actually like to use? I've been driving it around, like, to the grocery, to get food, you know, city streets, highways, back roads, you name it. What is it like in practice? And I think, let me start off by saying, I can never afford a Cybertruck. Maybe the rear wheel drive if I really stretched it and had a nice big down payment. But realistically speaking, right now, you know, maybe the channel grows and I get to that point, but right now, realistically, I just can't afford it. It's too expensive. especially something like the Cyberbeast. But I don't think I would ever want one as my daily driver, and for a couple reasons. One, I'm not really a truck guy. Like, I don't have a ton of practical use cases that I need a truck for. Typically speaking, an SUV or a sedan with a large trunk works perfectly fine for me. Now, of course, there are some niche cases where having a truck would be great, but for the most part, it would be a secondary vehicle for me, which again, can't afford a secondary vehicle that I use sporadically, right? It would have to be my daily. So driving this thing daily has really helped me just see what it's like and what its use cases are. And I think for people that need a pickup truck and love Tesla, love EVs, this thing is going to be incredible. It already is. It's just going to get better. When this thing gets autopilot, gets full self-driving, it's going to be even better because it has a lot of those practical truck things. It's got a 6-foot bed. Now it's pretty narrow at 4 feet, but a 6-foot bed, perfectly reasonable. Underfloor storage with that little plug like I showed, which has a little Cybertruck emblem on it. They really have Cybertruck details throughout this entire thing. It's really neat. But having that LED bar back there and having the adjustable mounting points and the power wall back there, all that kind of stuff makes this thing actually practical. Having a frunk that has some nice storage in it, not a ton, but some. The back seats lift up, like I said, so you can use some flat floor storage there for even more space, or you can carry up to 5 passengers. It really kind of has everything. I think my biggest issue is just the size of the vehicle. To me, coming from a really small Model 3, like, it feels huge and it feels like it's a little bit unwieldy. Again, I'm sure I'd get used to it, but just for me personally, in my day in and day out, I just don't really need a truck. But this is kind of the next best thing. Like, I don't have to store the truck. I don't really have to charge the truck. I don't have to pay for the truck, but I can use the truck if I need it, right? Best case scenario, everyone loves a family member with a truck. But I mean, you can literally just be cruising and just literally to 60 like that. All right, let's do a launch here. I've got the other camera set up outside so we can see and hear what it looks like. It says ready to launch when the cheetah stance is up. And we go. I like let off the gas or something. That was weird. I need to do it again. All right, both pedals to the floor. 3, 2, 1. Oh man. I think I'm losing traction. That has not happened to me before. I think it's because the road is a little bit uneven. It's like it dips down for a sec, so I think the wheels are literally off the ground. So those are my first impressions of daily driving the Cybertruck. Again, I'm sure I'll have many more miles behind the wheel, and maybe I'll do a follow-up in a couple months on, what it's kind of been like to, drive this thing and kind of use this thing in different scenarios. So I've been filming this thing all day, and I've been waiting for this rain to finally hit. And it's just past 8 p.m. here, and it's pitch black, as you can probably see, and the rain is finally here. I wanted to see what this wiper is actually like in action. I've used it a couple times just to clear off the windshield, but I wanted to see when it's actually raining what it's like. But I'm gonna turn it on full blast and kind of see what it actually does. So here, and then turn it all the way up. Holy cow. Pretty effective, I'll say that much, but that thing going at its full speed is comical. I was a little worried about getting it wet and how it would actually clean. It had gotten disgusting. It had bugs all over it, it had fingerprints all over it. It was just a disaster. Grease, grime, road grime, whatever. And I was like, I'm gonna need like stainless steel cleaner to get this off, like your refrigerator, your dishwasher. I followed the guidelines on Tesla's website, which is just to use a pH neutral car shampoo. I sprayed it off. Some stuff came off, used the power washer, got some bugs off, then put some shampoo on it, used like a microfiber mitt, buffed that in a little bit, and then sprayed it off, and it looked awesome. Like, I was shocked at how good just soap and water did with it. So, don't feel like you got to buy all these crazy chemicals and stuff. Maybe down the line you'll need that, but really to keep it clean, I just used soap and water, and it did well. But this is going to be really heavy rain here. That wiper's going. It's on auto right now, but we'll crank it up because it's about to be hard to see here. And this thing, there's wind blowing, rain hitting it. This thing's not moving. This is just straight through, does not care at all. These cars are going so slow in front of me. Yeah, we're going 24 in a 45 here. The problem with all these cars is they don't have the world's largest windshield wiper, but braking seems fine. Like, the regen's not sliding at all. That's good. Completely locked down. Hitting a little bit of standing water here. But hey, didn't Elon say this could go over the sea? So, come on, big wiper. You got this. See those little wipers? Weak. Big wiper. I mean, yeah, I can't see anything, so... Come on, big wiper. I feel like I'm in an action movie, though. In this giant thing with one giant wiper. I'm like dodging alien attacks or something. It is honestly dangerous to be driving it in this weather because of how many people, you know, whip around to look at the car in the middle of the pouring rain. But mainly what it boils down to is that I love it. You know, I always liked it. When it first came out, I thought it was crazy looking. It still is crazy looking, but once you spend time with it, you get used to the kind of outlandish look of it, and you drive it around, and you get to feel the power and the speed. You can't help but love it. Truly. You can't help it. So thanks so much for watching, guys. Drop a like in the video if you loved it. Let me know down in the comments what you think about this absolute monster in the 2024 Tesla Cybertruck Cyberbeast. Let's talk about it down in the comments. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button to be among the first to see every single new video the second I hit publish. We'll see you in the next one.